Welcome back to Soul Conversations. I'm your host, Kathryn Costa. And in this episode, I have a very special guest because my guest today is actually a member from the Oasis community. I asked Leach to join me today because she's been a regular with my programs. She knows my work very well, and she has not been able to resist joining each and every episode. So I thought she would, or not episode, Oasis session. For those of you who are new to the Oasis, I just launched it 4 weeks ago from the date that we are recording this. And it was an idea that sprung out of a desire, not knowing what I was going to do next in the chapter of my work. I received a very powerful message in a meditation on Easter morning. And the messenger said, Kathryn, you need to share your spiritual practices with the world. You can't keep them for yourself. So I had brewing in my mind the idea for the Oasis, which is a weekly offering offered a la carte, where there are these soulful, what I call soul tapas, where these lovely little nuggets. It's not a heavy duty course. In fact, many of you, they're going to be a review of some of the topics and themes that we've looked at in some of my previous courses. But what's different is you and the moment you're in. So when you show up for an Oasis, it's an opportunity to quiet the noise outside of you, quiet the noise inside of you, so you can hear the wisdom that will guide you in that moment for taking the next step for living a more joyful, more vibrant, and more purposeful life. So welcome. And thank you for being my guest.
Oh, it's my pleasure. This is so much fun.
Yeah, and I love that top. Look at the colors. You always have such great colors, and your studio there, the background and the bright colors. You really get color. Tell us more about you and your work.
Yes. Well, color is a big part of it. I think between color and music, those are universal languages that draw us in and begin a relationship, a conversation. And that's what I'm all about in my work as a life coach and small business strategist. And I also dabble with some therapy work, which was my original field for even deeper conversations with people. And then there's this artist wannabe side of me that is really getting into art journaling. And I use that with my clients as well, giving them permission. I like to say, whether it's art journaling or doodling, which I also do, that it's not fine art, it's fun art.
Oh, and I love that. That's a great slogan.
So that's what I do. I'm in Joplin, Missouri, the middle of the country. This is a significant time for us in that I survived the tornado of May 22nd, 2011. Wow. So that has just come and gone in 9 years. And through that time, my life has been transformed, my work has been transformed, and my spiritual journey heightened as a result of it. So
yeah.
I was delighted to find you and all of these offerings to help me even further.
Yeah, you know, when life has a way of serving us up all these experiences to grow and expand, even in ways that, well, even in settings that we really would have liked another type of situation in which to rise up, right? I mean, you had a tornado that came through and you lost everything. Am I right? Everything. Right. You took your home and everything. Well, let's look at your history of you and I. Do you recall when you first started doing stuff with me?
It was probably a couple of years ago, and a good friend of mine here locally does a lot of collage work in mandalas. And I was really responding to the circle shape and took a class with her on these paper mandalas that she does. And I was asking her for more resources, and she sent me to your website.
Oh, wow. And awesome.
That's what started it. Yeah.
So it was the mandala was the lead in. Now, you have taken the vision journal retreats that I started 2.5 years ago.
On the last one of those.
So you caught that in the last one, right? And then
the chakras.
And then you did the whole chakra series.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the goddess series.
Yes.
And you were among the people in the behind the scenes because you were showing up for these things, hearing me say I was going to quit.
Yeah.
And then now look, a completely different pivot.
I know.
And now you're doing the Oasis. What would you tell people, first of all, how would you describe the experiences of doing an Oasis? Let's focus in on the Oasis, since the other things are not being offered right now.
Right.
What would you, and they're not going to be offered the way they were. They are going to be different if I do offer courses again.
Yeah.
I'm re-engineering things. But what would you tell people? What's the Oasis experience like?
You know, for me, it has been part of my creative practice. It's a centering time for me, knowing that the way my schedule works, Friday nights have become my sessions. And so that gives me something to look forward to during the week. It also sets me up for a more intentional weekend as I take that theme and really meditate on it and do my journal pages around it. And so for me, it's, even though it's not the deep dive that I've had with you before, it is still enough of a topic, an experience, that I can definitely take that into the core of me and apply it to every area of my life, actually.
Well, you know, you bring up an important point. I had this realization when I was thinking about answering this call to continue serving in a bigger, greater way, that I knew I had to do things differently. And I feel like I had over delivered in a lot of courses, and I would serve up, you know, using that food analogy, because I love food. I felt like I gave people a whole big grand buffet, and too much for them to be able to eat and digest. And if you think about it, if you do a buffet, or you do I love champagne brunch. And you go to a really nice champagne brunch, and they've got the carving station, they got this and that. You got to cherry pick. You don't take it a little of everything, because you can't really enjoy it. So you got to say, all right, what are the savory things and the sweet delights that you want to take from this and from this experience? And what I found, a lot of people would take up my classes, maybe not even be able to show up live. Then they've got all these resources and they never look at it. Or they've gone through it, they've been a good student, but I don't see that they're applying it, because everything I teach is all about tools and practices and concepts to help you navigate your life using these different systems and ways of thinking, archetypal symbols. Yeah. So the Oasis has become, again, serving it soul tapas style, so we can revisit, or for some people it's new, and then really, like you said, you're embodying what my vision was for this. I mean, truly, I'm so thrilled that you can speak to this. Tell me, I've been using as a framework following the lunar cycles. We look at the new moon and the full moon. What do you think of that as a guiding, framework?
Well, for me personally, I'm thrilled because I've been doing some independent study on that. I definitely relate to water, although I'm an air sign, but I love the water, and I am reminded.
So what does water have to do? Tell our listeners what water has to do with the lunar cycle.
Well, obviously we know that it pulls the tides. So the coming in, the going out, the contraction and expansion of our lives, all ruled by the moon's influence on the tides.
Our emotional body is ruled by,
yes.
or influenced or impacted. It's not really ruled, it's impacted and influenced, because we rule ourselves when we're aware of what's going on. But if we're not, we're emotionally hijacked. So I think that's
the key, the awareness. You're absolutely right. Yeah. And I remember years ago seeing that movie, What the Bleep Do We Know?
Oh, yes.
she was
Yes.
experiencing Dr. Emoto's photography of water droplets, making the correlation that if our body is that much water, what, 87% or something like that?
Actually, no, it's more like 60 to 70, depending on which region of the body is.
Okay.
It's still significant.
Yeah. So if our mind can influence a droplet, it can influence all of this. So, and I love the idea of the lunar cycle, and in a subtle way being reminded that we do get to start again, right?
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a beginning and end, and it keeps going.
Yeah, and it's interesting because every new moon is an opportunity for us to check in and set intentions. The full moon is to see what's come full circle,
Yeah.
and also to look at, well, what are we ready to let go of before we step into the next cycle, which would happen in another week. It isn't necessarily that from new moon to new moon, what you'd set out there is going to be completed, but there may be other seeds you've planted in the past that's like, oh, wow, this came to be. And so that becomes an interesting look at how we can engage with our own cycles of doing and being and living in an intentional way.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And the meditations and visualizations really help kind of anchor that in too.
Yes, that's a real important element to all of my workshops and retreats is that meditation.
It's so good.
Yeah, yeah. Tell me about, what did you think of, there are a couple of different styles that I do. Some of them are ceremony where we're working with the elements of fire or water or air for releasing, and then other ones we're setting intentions. What do you think of those visuals and those ceremonies that I've brought in? Are those new to you before working with me, or did you have a background with that?
Yeah. The ceremonies were definitely, and I love the timing of it. Of course, every time I come to Oasis, I want to come with an open mind and heart, and I am totally willing to hear and receive whatever message comes through to me. So
Yeah.
it's been fun, and it's the reason where I remember when we first talked about this and you were tossing out price points and schedule ideas and stuff, and I look back on it now and I can't believe it, but I remember I wrote you and said, I've just lost a lot of money because of this COVID-19 situation, and I'm not sure if I can commit to every week. And then I had this moment of realization where it's like, hello, practice what you're learning, practice receiving, and surely you can come up with $10 a week to enjoy and experience something that's going to help move you forward.
Yeah.
So it was a no-brainer, and I'm sorry, I get to apologize to you now for this temporary loss of
Oh,
my.
no, I thought it was interesting. I was really open for hearing what people felt they were ready for. And I noticed that with you. I was like, okay, I would love to see you weekly, of course, because we've been connecting for years now. And I thought, well, you know what? I want to meet people where they're at, whether it's interest-wise or what they can afford. And I figure if it's something that is important, a person will find ways to make it happen.
Yeah.
And $10 is set as a rate that I think is more than fair as an exchange for what it is that I'm giving.
Absolutely.
Many people say that's all you're charging. And I really feel that my interest is in serving as many people as possible. That was the promise that I've made to Spirit, is I really want to serve a lot of people. And I'm really counting on people inviting friends and other people and sharing if they love it. But backing up to, I know you've brought some visuals to show us, and I love show and tell. Would you like to share a couple of the things that you've created as a result of time at the Oasis?
Yeah, I will. This one, what is so interesting to me in these meditations, these soul journeys, is the idea of a messenger, someone there to guide you and who has a message for you. And on two different occasions, my grandfather has shown up. So there
Mm,
he is telling me that he loves me. He
mm,
was the gardener in this
mm.
particular soul journey. And it was delightful. He died when I was 4 years old, but I have deep memories of him. And so I appreciated reconnecting with him in that way. And then you gave us the celebration board. I've adopted that with my colors.
That was in the full moon, because full moons are a great time for
Yeah.
celebrating.
Talked about the peacock, so I found,
Look
yeah,
at that.
I love that part. That fills my creative need, and I have two big boxes of just images and words that I can draw from. As we started, our last one was about the heart chakra,
Yeah.
and so I found this.
Oh, you got that. Yes, the chocolate
Yeah,
is
have you
like
seen?
mine. And I actually have that paper, that scrapbook paper a friend had given me. So I've
Oh
got
yeah,
that.
yeah, good.
Yeah.
But this is chakra cookies, and I thought, oh, that kind of goes along with the tapas, right? It's just a
Yeah.
little sweet nibble.
If you recall, oh, you weren't there. In my one of my very first journal classes, I actually brainstormed and wrote ideas of potential classes that I would teach in those. So that's an example of
Wow.
creative list making. And so taking an image like that and then using it as a brainstorming tool.
Uh-huh. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So I love reviewing all of the pages and remembering the lessons, and then being able to add my own journaling um, to
So
them.
you've just recently launched a new offering yourself. Tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about it. And then my second part of the question is, how is the Oasis supporting you as you put yourself out into the world?
That's a great question. So yes, I mentioned my tornado experience. After that happened, I was involved. I was president of the board of our local art center, and we embraced this opportunity to use art as healing from this terrific time of trauma. And ever since then, I have used the journaling, doodling as an opportunity to express those tough emotions. And so I just launched a new program called Doodle Pals, Creating
Mm.
Connections Around the World. And it is a pay it forward doodle program. So my 12-year-old doodle pal, who is a family friend in Florida, and I have created this together,
Mhm.
and we are reaching out to kids and families in communities affected by a natural disaster. So,
Wow, that's such an important.
yeah,
Oh, I want to start. My eyes are going to want to leak.
I know, I know.
That, oh, I got to hit my heart chakra. I got
We're
chills.
starting with kids in Australia that went through the brush fires, and we will have an exchange of doodling with them, and then their commitment will be to pay it forward to the next community, which was Nashville. They just recently had a tornado. The
Mm.
same thing will happen there. Those kids will commit to doodle messages of hope and inspiration to kids in Jonesboro, Arkansas, who also,
Wow. Wow,
and
this is
on
really
and on
neat.
we'll go.
Wow,
Yeah.
and it sounds like you've got a lot of planning and organizing to do on the back end for
Yeah.
coordinating and connecting everybody.
Yes.
When did you launch this and how's it going?
Oh, it's just been a couple of weeks.
Okay, so in the middle of Oasis launching, you had your
Yeah.
own launch. That's right. I remember you sharing that with in one of our
Yes.
sharing circles. How'd it go? How's it
Well, it
going?
was awesome. So we've got media coming out this week, actually, especially around our tornado anniversary time. It was important for me to
Oh,
launch it then. Um,
yes.
Colin, as I said, he's 12 years old. He's going to be interviewed by his local newspaper.
Oh, how
Uh,
fun for him.
yeah, so we have a Facebook group just called Doodle Pals. So it's fun to see the word get out. And the Oasis sessions are giving me the confirmation that I'm on the right track.
And how do you get that confirmation? How do you get that confirmation?
Through those soul journeys. I mean,
Yeah.
those meditations are so powerful. And that's why I have to come back to every one, because to miss one, I feel like I miss out on a message, right? And it's
Yeah.
a confirmation of
Yeah.
my
It
journey.
helps you to stay the course
Yes.
and confidently step into the next thing that you've got going on. Well, I've come to the realization that I am not an art teacher. And while
Yeah.
I have taught many people how to draw mandalas, and I'm good at teaching the step by step, that is not my gift. My gift is delivering those soul journeys.
Yeah.
And working with divination tools.
Mm-hmm.
And the collage as a medium, and designing stencils to make it easy for people to draw different type of
Thank you for that.
contemplative and meditative work, you know, and using those as a tool,
right here.
yeah, as a spiritual practice. And so while I will, going forward, still offer some programs at places like Kripalu and Rose Center and Omega, and there may be an opportunity to teach someone how to, most of my stuff's really about the spiritual practice of living and creating the life that you want.
Absolutely.
And it's been such a pleasure. How can people learn more about you and the Doodle Pals and follow you and see how they can support you and get involved with your work?
Well, please.
Very important work.
Thanks. Please just stop by my website. It's annleach.com. In the navigation bar is the page for Doodle Pals. Become my Facebook friend. I do some Instagram stuff, but yeah, I just would welcome new connections with any of our viewers.
Yeah, because we have a beautiful community that's growing and growing in terms of the Oasis community. And that's part of what I want to do with this soul to soul conversations, is to connect with different members as well as other people outside of the community, so we can all lift each other up. Thank you, Anne, for joining me today. For all of our listeners, thank you for joining us. I'm going to share all of Anne's information and links below the video, so that way you don't miss out on connecting with her very important work. Thank you, Anne, for joining me today and sharing with everyone what your experience has been like with the Oasis.
My pleasure.
Oh, love you.